My name is Samsuri, but almost everyone call me Sam. So that's the confusion. I'm actually design trained. I'm a arts graduate. I graduated for graphic design from Nanyang Academy of Fine Arts. During one of the modules, I decided that that moving pictures is to my forte than stills. As the thing goes along, some of the lines get blurred and there's new courses. So I stick to what I wanted to do, which is moving visuals. Personally, I'll do production design because it helps me progress my thoughts into scripts and into production reality. So I find it very interesting to have your vision that you want for your product. You have to at any one time be a producer because your vision is communicated better, well accepted, denied at that point of time, and then you make adjustments for your project. It gives you a bit of more creative control, but at the same time you know what everybody else's want and then you adjust accordingly. So why I became a producer, I wanted to see my vision go through. I want to see the obstacle, I want to see the trend, I want to see where it goes before it comes out. My first 6 to 8 years did a lot of television. We produced the Money Not Enough. Unfortunately, the company closed down. From that onwards, I actually left production. And then a friend of mine, during one of these meetings, he said, why don't you just come down for a while? I was just telling him as a friend, consulting him as a friend, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? Then he said, why don't you just join into production? So from there, I freelanced, did a couple of movies. I basically did the whole range. I started very small format, and then medium to a long format. And it became more interesting. So that's why I decided to maybe stick on and be a producer. When you're in the industry, you drop a name card, and then when they have these seminars and all that, they give you a call. Then you meet people in the industry, you meet overseas people, and then you exchange. So that's how I grow as a producer. On paper, maybe 12, 13 years. But beyond that, it's a bit between directing, production design, and producing. Now, mostly we're servicing, right now with Muse, with my present company, again, a lot of stat boards, MOE, Ministry of Education. There's a few other ministries, like I can't remember who. And then advertising agency again, like McCann's, Arcade, O&M, or YNR. The industry is changing. Okay. Everybody with a handphone can be a director. It's external forces that is changing the production. Changes, the software became very readily available. Editing software became readily available. Technology is catching up with the normal. It's a lot of challenges. It starts from technology, economics, external forces coming in. People are coming in. Singapore is a hub. They come in and then they offer that to external forces to come in and shoot. It's not more of the project, it's more of the budget. As a company, you have an overhead and you have a reputation to do. You will build your reputation as a good director, a good producer. This fee is negotiable to yourself. When you talk about production house that has a very good standing, you tend not to go down. If you don't cover your overheads, you have that quality and assurance basically. And when you compromise that with budget, you cannot bring your standards down to equate to them. In Singapore, producers are also typically the directors. It's just economics. When you have a project to do, typically it's a lot of phone calls, a lot of emailing, a lot of coordinating. Coordinating is a very important thing. Coordination, location, talent, script. You would want to make sure everything goes well. So you will, after your first contact number, to just reminder, just to call, you manage transport, food, make sure everybody is there at the same time. Typically I will handle the crew myself. The project is just going on. Everybody get into the groove already, they know what's happening. To make sure that it's maintained, everybody, any problem. Consulting with the clients to an extent is very important. You don't want them don't go through the whole production and they say, I don't like this person, or I don't like this guy. Oh, it happens. It will happen, and it does usually happen. You must learn how to check your pauses during the setup, that you get feedback from them whether they are okay with it. Some of them say they are okay, but they are not okay. It's a typical day in the sense that you will know your clients. You need to manage your clients, and when your clients, you actually have agency and the client itself, unless you are your own client. Sometimes it's a lot of sitting around waiting for phone calls. I think what you are looking at as a producer is everybody on board is on the same page as you. You can go 2 pages, 2 steps ahead to foresee what's happening. So that is very important to get everybody on the same page. And then when we will keep bringing them forward to the next one and the next one. That is very important. Nobody does one thing anymore. All actors are something else. They are teachers, they are professionals, they are something else. It's a lot of working, a lot of calling, talk. In my company, it's considered just a medium-sized company. I have this audio engineer, sound designer. He does from up to be with me. Eric Khoo movies. He does a lot of Eric Khoo's movie. We have 3 editors typically, online, offline, and we have one that is AE, After Effects, basically graphics and all that. But typically they do their own projects. They carry through the whole thing, and then we consult in if who is stronger with effects or who's stronger in storytelling. At the moment, a lot of short format, 30 seconds or even 1 minute, and a lot of pitch, and you relocate or you do another showreel that is specific to the client's needs. Maybe they want corporate stuff, and then you put all the corporate reels together, and then you show them, and then it's a lot of that moving around. At the same time, we do a lot of scripting. We do like a lot of pitch for to stat boards, to local broadcaster, to Mediacorp, Channel 8, Channel 5. Typically, a story is a story. It's language use. You can always use a consultant. You can always get a script writer. And my other producer is Chinese, so you know typically where you can go. Yeah. So it's not a big deal. Yeah. When you go for industry meeting, once you're in the mailing list, there are other maybe like-minded people who is in the production or who are peripheral suppliers like software, hardware suppliers, who will be there, and they will be speakers, and then there's this guy which I think he is very interesting, and then and I think that this is one genre that I've not done before. It was sci-fi, and then I asked my my audio engineer, Kaz, so whether he would like to do sci-fi. I think that is one thing that we have not done. So I said, yeah, why not? Sure, okay. So we registered, we went for the meeting, went for the seminar, and then we introduced ourselves. And then just nice, he's typically looking for, or maybe he wasn't looking for an audio. It's very funny thing, audio engineer. Sound, we sit down, we talk about audio a little bit, and the binaural came about. And then we get to know what they wanted to do. So that's it, exchange name cards, do a little bit of chit chat, nothing happened. So come back, just shoot a couple of emails. And then what happened was a web-based sci-fi driven CG with live action, with a cert, I guess, with a diploma. They would typically ask for 2,000 range. It will depend on the guy, your interviewee, depend on the interviewer, and who impressed. This also means in not so many words the director. Maybe one project about 300 to 400 a day. This is freelance. Typically, my biggest payday was substantial, but at the same time, you cannot commit to many projects at one time. When you do a movie, it's like typically the movie maybe shoots about 20 days, 30 days if you're lucky or unlucky. But beyond that, depending on where you stand, you are in the front end or the back end, after 30 days, that's it. Or you actually come in 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before, and then you stay 2 or 3 weeks after. So it depends where you're from. You know that when Lumiere Brothers did the first moving visuals, right? It was within 5 years, I think. Moving visuals came to Singapore. No? That was way back in the East. They are in France, America, and it took only like 5 years for moving visuals to get to Singapore, via the British, of course. But that was that far, how long. And then after that, when our local industry started to grow with the Shaw Brothers and Kelly Grace. It's Indian. We have B.N. Rao. It's typically Indian directors. And then after that comes the Philippines, and when Singapore split and all that kind of thing, Hong Kong. Shaw went to Hong Kong, you know. So basically, our influence have been Indian, have been a bit of Philippines, and a lot of Chinese, Cantonese, and all that kind of thing. So we don't actually have our own brand of Singaporean at the moment. It's developing, but it's not. What works in one country doesn't work on another. You know, what works in one country doesn't. Our country will not work. If you go to Malaysia to shoot, you'll see a huge crew, huge, for one drama production industry there. And then you have all the safety nets, and also you have FINAs, all that kind of thing. So in Singapore, you don't. You have a very light, lean crew, 3, maybe 4, 5 if you're lucky, and everybody doubles up doing something else. Sometimes when other people come to Singapore, and then I want it done like this, I want it done like this, and it doesn't fit our culture, so it's a bit, I wouldn't say frustrating, I would say it's a bit one-sided. There's a lot of things that can be said and can be improved, but I think the industry will develop itself. It's 10 hours a day work. Okay, we had a lot of expat from the cameraman DOP. The cameraman DOP or the cameraman or the director, they are very comfortable using their own team. So there was this production with a lot of expats, and these expats they're typically crew, director, and then the whole shebang, and then you have all the minor positions filled by locals. So, and in their country, they have this 10-hour work schedule. You work 10 hours and then you just stop, and then you wait for 10 hours. They would come in, they go, and when they get their 10 hours, they just stop, or they just won't pack up, and then they just leave. And they let the Singaporean crew to clean up, bring down the lights, pack, and all that kind of thing. And that doesn't work. To me, being in the industry, I feel very sad that we are letting people tell us what to do. But at the same time, we moved on from that. I have this DOP. Again, an expat. This is not my project. I was within one of these projects. We have these students like yourself who are doing graduate, or undergraduate, so I would say. And again, that thing about I'm a graduate, I can do better than you kind of thing. Okay, so these people are actually maybe doing internship, or just they are 6 months before they graduate into the real world. So one of the crew, asked for this assistant. It's raining, it's wet. No, can I have the production T-shirt? Usually when you have a production, you have this, you have this name of the production, and you have T-shirt, crew, whatever. They have this production T-shirt, they call it. And typically they will be inside somewhere around. So it was raining, and then one of the group asked, do you have a clean production T-shirt? Can I have it? I mean, it's wet, And then he asked one. Then this guy who's an undergraduate, he was just an intern doing the shoot. He said, "Who are you? You're just a crew, Why do you? Who gives you the right for you to ask for shit?" Okay, so it's very typical of Singapore. It's very typical. Sad to say. So then the gaffer, he called the producer, and then he said, "Take this guy out of my production. My crew is wet. He needs clean shirt for him to work. And who is this person to tell my top of this train with his cameraman?" Okay. And the cameraman had an idea. The cameraman had an idea of this movie that he wanted to do, and then he think that, of course, he was just pitching, and then cakapkan, hey, this is quite interesting. He said, okay, let's explore this. So it's the first king of India when he did the whole thing, and then he did a lot of war. If you know a bit of history, and then he converted to Buddhism, and he made the whole country basically a lot of Hindu and Buddhism. And if you see the wheel of if you see the flag of India, there's this wheel in the middle, green. It's called the wheel of Ashoka. So it's interesting. So again, the idea was from a cameraman. It has all the marketing things that you need, all the stuff that you need, but you still need a producer to sell it. If your project can only see maybe the light of day, or maybe interesting enough if it's pitched by a producer. If you are a cameraman, say I got this project, yeah, sure, that kind of thing. But you're a producer, no, maybe. But that doesn't mean that, and that doesn't mean a cameraman cannot be a producer. He can be a producer as well. If you ask me why I wanted to be a producer, it's because I would say there are certain things that you want to see that it is just you, either your interest or this, again, economics, or the industry lacks of it, or there's no one brave enough to do it. So say, what have I got to lose, right? So just do it. I love horror. I love horror genre. I really like horror genre. But there are no good horror stuff on TV, locally produced. If you were to see, there are reasons behind it, okay, legal reasons. But at the same time, it's a big demand. It's a very big demand. There's this show in channel, in radio that is very hugely popular. Misteri Jam 12. It's loosely translated is 12 o'clock, midnight mysteries. It's hugely popular. Ratings are very high. Yet you don't see it on TV. Actually, ask them why their hands are tied at a certain point. Personally, I feel that if you present it properly at the correct time, it may come true. But yeah, it's a very hard battle. That but somebody, just one person, need to be convinced. Sometimes you have to do it. You have to do your own format. You have to do it. You have to shoot it. You have to shoot it with like-minded people who like horrors, actors, cameramen, DOP, who like that genre, and then who's doing it because they love it, and then try to invest in it, and then maybe sell it to another thing. So in Singapore, the market is too small. But if you go Malaysia, the CD market for this kind of horror genre is huge. It's very huge. Again, their problem is pirated DVD, or somebody just leaking out, that kind of thing. So if you ask me again, like, why do I still want to do it? Because I think there is still this avenue where you can do what you want, get decent returns, decent ratings, and then help you elevate yourself, your peers, and also maybe young upcoming stuff. You don't know your craft. You are just you are a crew because you cannot be a producer. You cannot be a director. You cannot be something higher up there. It's not true. I know a assistant cameraman who loves being an assistant cameraman and who's very good at being an assistant cameraman. Every cameraman, every director wants him to be assistant cameraman because he's good. Why would you go to do something else if you're good at your job? Why? Why are you not paid your station? Why? Okay, you must understand all this. You can be a very well paid assistant producer, very well paid assistant something, very well paid, have a good, decent living, raise a family, have good income. Why must you always want to be something else when you are very good at what you do? This is the perception that you want as a producer. I want to change. I want to pay you your experience. I want to pay you for your work. I want to pay you for your sacrifice that you've done. You know what to do. And that doesn't mean some new guy who just with like tons of certs, who haven't sit down in the director's chair before and calling all the shots, that kind of thing, and he's paid just because of you're paying for his education, not his experience. This crew, they can make things from anything, do something. They know what to do. And this generator guy, he operate generator for doing shoot. We hire him to provide generator current, provide all this cable, and he have more experience than I do. That is how much you talk. He works almost it's just that you have to tap into all these people. You have to understand where they come from. You must understand what they can do for you, not what you demand. What they can do for you. If they like you, if they know, if they believe in your project, that is what, as a producer, that you should get. You should not think that because I went to study. My parents paid this much for me to do something, and I studied hard. I get straight A's or not or whatever it is, and I demand. No, you don't. That is just a ticket for you to do something better. Okay, it's not that. If you want to move up in the industry, you bring the people with you, bring them up. You don't leave them down. That's the only thing the industry is gonna be. You look at America. You look at okay, I'm very sure you've seen, you've read magazine, American Cinematographers. Okay, I'm sure you've done this small thing on effects magazines and all that kind of thing. Why are these people willing to share their great secret? Why? Because they want that industry to go up. They want that industry to have the station that they believe. Okay, last time editors, they started out with just women, just snipping, cutting, putting strings together. Okay, they started off like that, and then it developed into a craft, into an art. And then people thought like mixing, audio is just a technical thing. And then one guy who won an Oscar, he said it's a creative process based on technical knowledge. Okay, it's a creative process. It's even though you're working with technical, it's still a creative process. It's these people that you need in the industry who understands the industry. There was an East magazine. It's a free publication, East magazine. A few years back, there was this lecturer, sad to say, I don't know from which poly. He said, because some of the things, the budget goes to people who are inactive, who are basically what? Okay, I'm paraphrasing. He said, in not so many words, he said, a lot of the budget goes into technical personnel. Okay, by that he means the crew, the thing, that kind of thing. And I was very shocked. A lecturer, telling a journalist who later published it that the money goes into. That's not right. It's really not right. These people are working for you to do something. They deserve the pay, but at the same time, they are giving their expertise, your expertise to solve your problem for you. Okay, basically, if you work at getting the right people as a producer, if you work to get the right people, you don't have to work when production comes, because these are the best people on the job. Okay, you manage them. Okay, so these are the things that you want to do. These are the things that you want to do as a producer. You want to do this. You want to bring that. And I hope that you learn something, and then you share that. Don't keep it to yourself. Basically, bottom line, there will be somebody who's better than you, cleverer, faster, smarter, handsomer, taller, shorter than you. Okay, so if you want to stand tall on your merit. What you can do, what you cannot do. The whole thing about getting people who are smarter than you in production, so that you don't have to carry the whole burden. Always keep people who are smarter than you in the room. Okay, because they help you. And when you hire smarter people, you will look genius. You look super smart. Okay, so that is the key. You must understand.
Nice.
One is meeting people, either like-minded people or not. As a producer, well, you got stories to tell. You want to hear people's story. That's one thing
Okay.
that I would like. You know, I've been around. I've not seen. Let's say I've not met the richest of the rich, but I've seen the poorest of the poor. You've seen everything in between. At my capacity, it is when Anthony Chen, he wanted to get his award in Hong Kong or just go for it. He had no money. Can be very lonely. If your parents don't understand, if you don't understand yourself, you are 16, you are after O levels. What am I going to do? Media sounds interesting, very glamorous job. You go in, study. This is not what I want to do, and especially after you've done all the way. There's a few people, yes, that I know of. Some of my interns who came in, studied all the way up, and then decided that this is not what I want to do. If you really want to do this, after you finished your studies and all that kind of thing, this is what I advised one of my professors when I was doing a course. He said, do something else and producing. Learn something else and producing. Psychology, sociology, do something to what the people want and what. Okay, if you want to do something, producing, do something else. Find something that you like. Be an expert in that particular thing, and people always come back to you for that. So that is what I would say my advice would be. Always depend on your friends as well. You share information. Don't be selfish.